Good evening, kids. Today we are going to pick up where we left off yesterday on page 29, and we're going to talk about Isaac, which, as you may remember, is Abraham's son. I was gonna do that without looking, and there it went. I had to get my chapstick all here. Get my chapstick all worked in so I don't look weird. Okay, there we go. Isaac, Abraham's son. Okay, page 29. We will continue. Let me get my little phone stuff set up. One moment, please. Okay. Hold on. There. Okay. Rebecca gave birth to 2 sons. Contrary to ancient custom, God told her he planned to make the younger son greater than the older. Esau was born first. They named their second son Jacob because he was grasping Esau's heel when he was born. The name Jacob is similar to the Hebrew word for heel. Though twins, the 2 boys were radically different. I'm just double checking if Isaac really was Abraham's son because I thought that he was. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah, Isaac was Abraham's son. Okay, I digress. Got a little ADD going on today. All right. Let me start over. Though twins, the 2 boys were radically different. Esau became an excellent hunter and loved the outdoors. However, he lived by his passions and he had little regard for his privileged position as the firstborn son. Jacob was the stay-at-home type, but he was ambitious and manipulative. He also had a serious problem with integrity. Isaac favored Esau, for he would bring savory wild game. Rebekah favored Jacob. Jacob cunningly obtained Esau's inheritance. When Esau returned from hunting, he complained he was starving to death and asked for food. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." Esau was so famished that he traded his firstborn inheritance for a bowl of red stew. His descendants eventually lived in an area distinguished by red cliffs. How that's relevant, I don't honestly know. Like Abraham, Isaac was forced to move south because of a severe famine. He thought about moving to Egypt, but the Lord said, "Stay here, and I will bless you. Your descendants will be as numerous as the stars, and they will be a blessing to all nations of the earth." Isaac decided to stay in the south of the promised land. Though Isaac was a man of faith, he was far from perfect. Because Rebekah was attractive, Isaac told the men of Gerar that he was his sister because he thought that they might kill him and abduct her. I feel like there's a common theme here because didn't Abraham do that with Rebekah? I didn't already read this, did I? Okay. Well, anyway, moving on. He told the men of Gerar that Rebekah was his sister because they thought he might kill him and abduct her. Okay. When the Philistine king spotted Isaac embracing her, he knew she wasn't his sister. The king issued a warning that no one should touch Rebekah because she was Isaac's wife. The Lord blessed Isaac. He became wealthy and powerful, so wealthy that the region's king asked him to leave. Though Isaac moved, his flocks were so large there was not enough water for them and those of the local shepherds. Isaac moved again, this time to Beersheba, where the Lord assured him he had nothing to fear. Isaac worshiped Isaac worshiped the Lord and made Beersheba his home. I really feel like I might have read this already. Okay, well, it's almost over anyway. This was wise. The king made a nonviolent treaty with Isaac, and Isaac's servants found water while digging a well at Beersheba. Esau continued to live as a godless rebel. Instead of finding a wife from his own people, he married Judith and Basemath, who were the daughters of foreigners. Jacob again resorted to deception to obtain the patriarchal blessing that customarily would have been given to his older brother. When Isaac was old and had extremely poor eyesight, Rebekah helped Jacob disguise himself so Isaac would think he was Esau. This ruse worked, and Isaac blessed Jacob. Now we're going to talk about Jacob. Page 31. Esau, who was furious, threatened to kill his brother. Rebekah warned Jacob to flee for his life. Before Jacob left, Isaac blessed his son and told him not to marry a Canaanite. Jacob went to Haran, where his uncle lived. Jacob worked as a shepherd for Laban, who had 2 daughters, Leah and Rachel. Jacob fell in love with Rachel, the youngest. He asked Laban, I'm going to probably have said that wrong, and it's going to be said wrong 100 times, for permission to marry her, agreeing to work 7 years as Laban's servant. The man who had used deception to manipulate others met his match in Laban. On the wedding night, Laban gave Leah to Jacob to be his wife instead of Rachel. When Jacob realized he had been tricked, he complained. Laban replied that it was customary for the oldest daughter to marry first. To marry Rachel, Jacob was forced to commit to another 7 years of work. Jacob's wives not completed. Okay, I'm kind of on the struggle bus with reading. I will try again. Jacob's wives competed with each other for his favor. Though Jacob loved Rachel the most, Rachel was unable to conceive. The Lord, however, blessed Leah with 4 sons. In desperation, Rachel told Jacob to sleep with her servant to bear a son. Leah then allowed Jacob to sleep with her servant to give him another son. Finally, in answer to her prayers, the Lord gave Rachel a son, whom she named Joseph, which means, may he add. This expressed Rachel's hope that the Lord would give her even another son. Rachel and Leah and their 2 servants gave Jacob a total of 12 sons and 1 daughter. Jacob's 12 sons would become the leaders of the 12 tribes of Israel. After the birth of Joseph, Jacob began making plans to return to the land of Canaan. His uncle pleaded with him to stay. Jacob had made Laban extremely wealthy. He reluctantly agreed to let Jacob leave, but he was only willing to give him a small flock of sheep. Jacob, an extremely skilled shepherd, was still able to increase the size and quality of his flock. When Jacob realized Laban's sons resented him because of his success, he decided to leave secretly. He informed his wives, but told them not to tell their father. Laban discovered Jacob's departure and pursued. When he caught Jacob, the 2 men argued, but finally agreed to a peaceful settlement. Jacob built a stone monument to mark the location and offered a sacrifice to God. Jacob had another problem to overcome before he could return home. He sent his servants ahead to find out if Esau was still angry enough to kill him. When the messengers reported that Esau was coming to see him with 400 armed men, Jacob asked the Lord for protection and sent ahead a gift of several hundred animals. The day before he met Esau, Jacob sent his family across the Jabbok River and stayed by himself in the camp. During the night, Jacob encountered a man and wrestled with him until dawn. The man was a visible physical appearance of the Lord. The man dislocated Jacob's hip, but Jacob grabbed his opponent and would not release him until he blessed him. What is your name? The man asked. Jacob, was the reply. It isn't anymore, the man told him. It is Israel, one who fought with God. The man blessed Jacob, and Jacob called the place, I'm going to say this one wrong too, Peniel, which means the face of God, because he had survived a face-to-face encounter with the Lord. Jacob walked with a limp because of the severity of the blow to his hip. Early in the morning, Jacob saw Esau and his men approaching. He went out ahead of his family, but instead of attacking, Esau ran to meet his brother. The 2 men embraced, and Jacob introduced his family to Esau. Esau offered to escort Jacob to his home in Seir, but Jacob declined. Instead, he purchased land in here's another one. Shechem. That's how I'm going to say it. Shechem. I don't know. As a witness of his faith, he built an altar to the Lord. Though the Lord had promised the land of Canaan to Abraham and his descendants, it was not a safe place for Jacob. The relationship between his family and the people of Shisham was disastrous. Shisham, a Hivite, raped Leah's daughter Dinah. Shisham told his father, King Hamor, that he loved Dinah. So the king asked Jacob for permission for his son to marry Dinah. I'm really struggling with the names. Dinah's outraged brothers plotted revenge. They told the men of Shisham they could marry into their family only if they were circumcised. The men all agreed, and all were circumcised. While they were incapacitated, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, rescued Dinah, killed all of Shisham's men, and then plundered the city. Jacob, shocked by what his sons had done, feared the other Canaanites would destroy them. Because of the threat, Jacob ordered his extended household to completely trust in the Lord by destroying all their idols. They moved to Bethel, where Jacob had first built an altar. The Lord reaffirmed the Abrahamic promise to Jacob, and Jacob built another altar to him. They intended to go to Ephrath, also called Bethlehem, but Rachel died giving birth to her second son, Benjamin, and before they arrived in the city. Isaac died at age 180. Jacob and Esau buried him at Mamre, Hebron, where Abraham had lived. Esau, who married 3 Canaanite women, moved south to Mount Seir because there was not enough land to support his livestock and Jacob's. The descendants of Esau were known as Edomites, and the area where his descendants settled was called Edom. Let's look ahead and see how long. Okay, we've got like 2.5 pages to go before the end of the chapter, but we are already at 12 minutes. So I will say our next installment, we will talk about Joseph, which we're towards the bottom of the 33 page 33. So if you feel like listening to another story, then you can follow it with me and on the next episode of Bedtime Stories with Your Mom. I love you. Good night.